All right, Scott, thanks. The Trump administration's tariff on Chinese goods took effect at midnight, prompting swift retaliation from China. Starting next week, China says it'll impose a 15% tariff on coal and liquefied natural gas products coming from the U.S., as well as a 10% tariff on crude oil, agriculture machinery, and large engine cars. The White House says President Trump plans to speak to Chinese President Xi Jinping soon.
The president made it very clear with the 10% tariff on China that he is not going to allow China to continue to source and distribute deadly fentanyl into our country.
This all comes as proposed tariffs on Mexico and Canada on pause for at least now, while negotiations over border security continue. Canada has promised more choppers, drones, and personnel, as well as a new position for a fentanyl czar. Mexico's president has promised 10,000 National Guard troops to help block flow of drugs and migrants.
President Donald Trump met with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu today to talk about the ceasefire with Hamas. As CBS's Chris Livesay reports from Tel Aviv, most Israelis want to see more progress from those talks.
Well, at the top of President Trump and Prime Minister Netanyahu's agenda, hammering out the next phase of this very fragile ceasefire deal. Here in Israel, the families and most of society at large are desperate to see more hostages released, many of them crediting Trump for making this deal possible.
We hope that Trump will help the nation of Israel, that will get the rest of the hostages released.
The world watches, and we believe in your leadership to end the suffering.
Palestinians, too, have been rejoicing over the agreement that's freed prisoners and seen wounded children and soldiers allowed to leave the Strip. Netanyahu met yesterday with the president's Mideast envoy to discuss how this peace can hold and said he would send a delegation to Qatar to continue indirect negotiations with Hamas. Nevertheless, challenges loom, with hard-right members of Netanyahu's coalition demanding a return to war. Hamas holds 2 Americans believed to still be alive among the 79 hostages still in captivity. Chris Livesay, CBS News, Tel Aviv.
Israel's military assault on Hamas in response to the October 7th attacks in 2023 killed more than 47,000 people. That's according to the Hamas-run Ministry of Health.
Residents in Fort Smith tonight will have the chance to voice their opinions at a public hearing over proposed sewer rate increases. City says those increases are necessary to fund crucial infrastructure projects and meet federal requirements through the consent decree. 5 News reporter Morgan Wrigley shows us what you need to know ahead of that hearing tonight.
This rate hike is part of the city's long-term plan to stay in line with a federal consent decree. City leaders say while no one likes to see their bills go up, these adjustments are necessary to keep Fort Smith's sewer system running efficiently. Tonight, they want to hear directly from residents. At tonight's Board of Directors meeting, the board will outline a proposal for a 3.5% annual sewer rate increase starting on June 1st. The increase would continue each year through 2030. City leaders say this is about funding major sewer system upgrades and following a federal mandate to stop sewer overflows. Interim City Administrator Jeff Dingman says the city has already invested around $130 million in sewer upgrades since 2015, replacing aging pipes and expanding capacity in areas where infrastructure is outdated. He says if this passes, the average resident's monthly bill would increase by about $3 each year until 2030. He says the additional funding is critical to continuing this work, but also acknowledges that any rate increase can be a concern for residents.
We don't expect a lot of residents to be jumping up and down and excited about a rate increase. Although, we have heard over the course of the last few months, in terms of some other spending that the city has done, we have heard, residents say, the consent decree needs to be a priority for us going forward. I'm hopeful that the public hearing itself adds to the public's understanding of why we need to do this.
Residents attending the hearing will have a chance to ask questions and give feedback. It's scheduled for 6 tonight at the Blue Lion in downtown Fort Smith, and the board plans to vote on the proposal tonight as well. We'll keep you updated here on 5 News. Morgan Wrigley, 5 News.
We're tracking what experts are saying about the bird flu and how it's impacting egg prices. We've all seen it at the grocery store lately. Well, according to the USDA, egg prices are predicted to increase 20% just this year. It comes as renewed bird flu outbreaks affect farms across America. More than 145 million birds have been killed since the start of this outbreak. Roughly 8% of America's total flock have been wiped out and culled since November alone, driving egg shortages and price surges across the country.
Eggs are a staple. The demand is such that, we still want to go buy eggs. And so that creates a situation of skyrocketing prices.
The CBS News Money Watch price tracker shows a dozen eggs cost on average $4.15. Get this, they were $2.51 just a little over a year ago. So from 2023 through the holiday season that just passed, egg prices have risen 65%.
Many are looking at ways to safeguard animals as the bird flu outbreaks impact farms nationwide. In our backyard, Turpentine Creek, one of the largest big cat sanctuaries in the world, says so far it has not had any cases, and it's trying to keep it that way. Workers there, though, are having to make changes until the peak of the illness is behind us. They say they're having to turn away local and private food donations, accepting commercially processed foods, which only which Turpentine Creek President Tanya Smith says is a sacrifice because they feed more than 800 pounds of meat a day to these animals. Another step they're taking is limiting bird exposure to cats.
We've read up on how to deflect birds from coming to your area, and it's just little things like that. Decoy birds, like birds of prey, owls and things like that, were hanging around these areas where the animals actually live and eat their food and all that.
She says they do expect these extra steps to cost up to hundreds of thousands of dollars, so all donations are valued and accepted. As for going to visit Turpentine Creek, she says it is perfectly safe and sanitary. It is the perfect week to come and visit. If you want to hear more about the safety measures being taken, you can head over to 5+, where today we'll have that full interview. You can text the number on your screen to learn how to download 5+ to your TVs.
Well, this will be fun happening tonight. Local police coming together for the Tip a Cop event to help raise money for Special Olympics Arkansas athletes. Law enforcement from across Northwest Arkansas will be at the border On the Border restaurant in Rogers, waiting tables and accepting tips for the cause. It all starts tonight at 5. It runs until 9.